Good afternoon everyone, I hope you're all safe and well. As you can see, my copy of Root, the Underworld expansion, arrived recently, and it's one that I've been really excited about, so I'm just going to do a wee quick unboxing to show you what comes as part of the expansion. Now, just before we begin, you'll see here at the top I've got another box here. This is actually the upgrade kit, and this is basically just a set of new player boards, because I've actually got the original printing, and there's been a wee bit of errata for some of the factions. So this was really cheap to pick up, so I thought that would be a good time to grab that as well. But just to start, we're going to be looking at the actual expansion itself. So this is the box here, and you can see it actually features two new factions. You have the Corvids up here, and you also have the moles as well. Also has a few maps and a new deck and all sorts of things. So I'm just going to pop open cellophane, which is actually quite loose, so it's quite easy to remove. It's not always the case. I'll just pop that on the floor, and I'm just going to lift out the box. Right, and you can see these are some Kickstarter exclusives. So the first thing in the top here is the resin markers for the different areas in the board. These are really quite nice, so these will definitely be seeing some use, and they come in a nice wee box. And we also have the Vagabond pack, so this is a set of meeples for the different Vagabond characters, all with the different styles. So that's a really nice upgrade as well, just to add a wee bit of individuality to all the different Vagabonds. And finally, we have the Exiles and Partisans deck, which is an alternative deck of cards that you can use for your game of Root, which are slightly different. And I think these are a wee bit more tightly balanced as well, from what I've heard. Okay, so we'll look at those later, but we're just going to quickly look at what the rest of the stuff that's in the box. So we've got our Learning to Play, which now obviously applies to our new factions as well. It's really just the instructions on how to get started with those new factions, and also tells you a wee bit about the two maps that come in the game as well. So very colourful and really nice print there. And we also have a revised edition of the Law of Root, which is the reference rulebook, and this is actually bigger than the original ones. This is I don't know if this is like US letter size or if it's an A4 size, but the original one was, you know, just basically the size of the border there. So it's quite nice to have a bigger, you know, reference guide, so you can flick through it a wee bit faster because there's less pages there. Maybe the font size is a bit bigger. Okay, so we actually get into this inside the box, and we've got here the map, which is double-sided. So on one side here, just open this out so I can show you quickly. So on one side here you have the lake map. Just going to lay that down there for you and try and lift that up. Difficult to get that into shot. So here is the lake map. So you can see you've got a big giant lake in the middle. So you have to kind of go round the outside. This is a really nice map, really nice illustration. And then also you have the mountain map, which is probably more similar to the original map in the sense that these centre points are kind of more connected, but you also have the river running through it as well, just like the original map. So you've got a couple of more options there, as well as the standard map and the winter version of the standard map. So that's really quite nice. Moving on, we've got the punch board for, this will be the Corvids. Oh no, sorry. Well, it's a mixture. Yeah, there's some more stuff up there, but this is mainly all the Corvid tokens for that faction. And you get some extra plot tokens down there at the bottom. In fact, I think there's just the one punch board, so I think that's everything. So the mole people obviously don't have as many tokens. And then you've got here your player boards. So you can see here, this is the Corvid Conspiracy. There. And that's all the instructions on the different phases, just like every other faction. And on the back, you have your setup guide as well, and just a few wee tips about how to play this particular faction. And then we also have the Underground Duchy, which is the mole people. And again, you know, they've only really a lot going on in the daylight here, it seems, and a few areas here for some of your tokens. And then at the back, again, it tells you a wee bit about the faction and how to play them, what they're all about. Okay, finally, just at the bottom here, it's actually quite empty now that we've lifted all that out. We've got some crown tokens, which I think are used with the moles. We have the lovely mole meeples with a nice kind of two-tone effect, kind of beige and a black. I really like that. We have the Corvids, which are purple with little menacing eyes. Really quite nice. We also have a set of black D12 dice to replace the white ones, kind of black and gold. So again, it's personal preference. You know, dice are dice, but nice to have. And then we also have a couple of tokens, I think, that are used. There is a tower token that I think is a variant where if you hold on to that territory at the end of the turn, you get an extra victory point. And there's also, I think this is a raft token that's used as a wee variant for the river. Okay, we have an empty baggie for whatever reason. And then finally, we've got a few cards here, and this is just the reference cards for the new factions. So I'm just going to pop this open quickly so we can see. So you've got just a reference card for each of the factions, and you also have squire cards, which are similar to the Erie Dynasty, where they have different kind of different kind of personalities with different titles that you use as part of that faction's abilities. And can I just say the cards, really nice linen finish. Don't know if you can see that there. So just a slightly reflective. But yeah, just like the original game, lovely finish in the cards. So really impressed with that. And yeah, that's pretty much what comes in the box. I'm hoping I'll be able to fit that all into the original box, because I've managed to get the other expansion in there, but space is a wee bit tight, so we'll just need to see. So the last thing really to show you, and it really isn't that interesting I suppose, is the upgrade kit, which I'm hoping you'll be able to buy this at retail later if you have a kind of older version. I mean, it's not a big deal because you can print off the errata for free. So what I've done before is I just printed the errata on card, and I just basically can put that in the box so that when you're playing with the other factions, you just put that on top of your player board. But it is really nice to have new board with the errata. Okay, so this is a bit more of a pain to open because the cling film is a bit tighter. Okay, and it says the contents at the back. You have your 8 faction boards, and that's pretty much it. So I'll just pull up the tab here. Not to bend it too much. And if I just slide these out. Okay. Oh! Alright. I didn't realise that. Didn't say anything about that. Heck, look, contents, 8 faction boards. So what I didn't realise is you get another copy of Law of Root. So that's quite handy. So if you're playing a bigger game with like 4 or 5 players, then you've got 2 copies of the revised rulebook to hand it in. I'm just going to double check quickly the printing on these, because it should tell me the bottom. So this one here says 4th printing. This is the one that came in the expansion, and that's July 2019. And this one is also 4th printing as well. So these are both identical, which is quite handy, having 2 copies of the rules reference. That's always good. And you can see here, in no particular order, we have our faction boards. So I have the Riverfolk expansion, so this is really handy for me. So we've got the Lizard Cult, we've got the Mechanical Marquee, which is used for, solo play, or if you want a kind of dummy player to kind of spice up your game. You've got the Vagabonds. Well, there's 2 Vagabonds actually. There's one of the Vagabonds. You've got the Riverfolk Company, who have yet to play actually. You've got your other Vagabond. You've got the Irie Dynasties, one of my favourites actually. I really like playing them. You've got the Marquis de Cat, just the standard Marquis de Cat, and then finally the Woodland Alliance. Okay, so there you go. That is everything that comes in the box. Really, really pleased with the production of that. I've not really managed to get any of the expansion factions to the table yet, believe it or not. So I'm hoping that I'll really be able to get a few games of this, with a group that's now played it a few times, so that we can try, some of the new stuff. But yeah, I've got to say, it's a really, really good game. Excellent introduction to the coin system. I love games with asymmetric races and powers, and once you get used to some of the basic mechanics, like the moving and the battling, it's really just a case of learning a bit about your actual faction, which is quite tricky, but at the same time, there's enough commonality between them where I don't think it's really quite as bad to teach as some people make out. Another thing as well is, in the original game, you've got the 2 scripted turns, so it's 2 full game turns that are completely scripted, and you can kind of basically pass that around and it explains what each faction is doing on their turn and why they're doing it. So it's a really good way to learn the game as well, which you don't really get with the expansion factions, but for someone who's new to Root and playing with the base 4, that's a really good way to go. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. Yeah, and hopefully a few of you have got your copies as well. We were a wee bit later to get it here in Europe, but yeah, yeah. So let's get some Root played. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Take care and have a good one.